Okay, we are recording. There's two things I want to cover on this call particularly. Lenny Izzo is here, very graciously accepted my last-minute invitation to be on the call, and I want him to talk about the program that Metro New York is doing called The Bridge. And then Boysen Hodgson is on the call, and always great to have him join us, and I want him to talk about what's going on in the area of communications, particularly as it affects enrollment. Before we get to those two gentlemen, just want to share with you where we're at with regard to enrollment. As soon as I pull up the chart, I will share my screen. I don't have last weekend's results as yet, but let me share with you what I do have. For those of you that are on the video and can see if I share my screen. There. Okay. So as of the week before Easter, there were obviously no trainings over Easter weekend. We had been going very strong. We had a little bit of a setback at South Central with only 15. Nobody's on from Central Plains, right? Lenny, do you happen to know what Metro had? How many men actually went through last weekend in Metro?
I don't know the exact number.
Okay.
You know.
Last I heard it was 22. And then Southeast, John Musser is not on the call. He's on vacation, so I don't have final figures there. Last I heard about Chicago, that's this coming weekend, they were at 24. Right now, we're at 23.4 for the year. We've had only one cancellation, which I intend to hold. And as you see, Colorado's coming up strong. Chicago's coming up strong. A little concerned about Kentucky, a little concerned about Arizona. Any update on Arizona, guys?
We're up to 15.
I love it. Great. How's upstate New York doing?
We're at 14 right now, and immediately prior to the call, I was speaking with a man, helping him, giving him the link. He has 3 men he's going to be registering this afternoon. Great, fabulous. So we're continuing to be pretty strong, and we've still got work to do. You see some of the red down here for trainings that are a little further out. So that's where we're at. I'm proud of the work you men are doing because we are doing well compared to last year. At one point, we were actually, I'm not counting it very early in the year, but before the setback with South Central, we were at 23.9, which is fabulous. So I'm intending to get back up there. Any questions about this? Great. Well, in that case, let's get right down to business. Lenny, tell us about the bridge, please, and what's happening in New York with that, what success you're having, what you've learned from it, and anything else you want to tell us about it. First of all, tell us what it is.
Okay. Bridge is a doorway to the weekend. I initiated it with Vince Fallone, called him up a couple months ago. We had put on a previous kind of workshop called The Feather, which was more about desire. This one, I wanted to make it an actual outward direct invitation to the weekend. So Vin and I have worked together for a long time. He was on board. We went over the Northwest the one day, opening the heart, and we looked at that, and we carved it out in a way we thought would work for New York. So simply, it is an invitation greater than an open circle, 4.5 hours that we did this one. It was the only one we did. We had 16 men, including us. 3 initiates showed up, and they invited some men. And out of the 13 men that were there, or the 11 that were uninitiated, right now I think we have 5 that signed up for the weekend. And more kind of in the pipeline.
That's an unbelievable, I don't mean unbelievable in the sense that I think you're not telling the truth. It's a phenomenal statistic.
Well, yeah, 5 out of 11 is good. I think we can do better. The context of it was the three themes. Archetypal energy, get to know the realm of archetypes, the sacred masculine, and shadow. And that was the themes. Those themes we wove around domestication, being a domesticated man in today's world. Are you aware of that as men? So we started right out really challenging them in a compassionate way, but we were pretty direct. Set a container like we do. We brought in our rituals, and we worked with the four quarters. It was very experiential, right from the check-in. You know, in New York, we were on the 17th floor right off of 8th Avenue, and we opened a doorway to transpersonal space, transformational space. That's why it worked. Men got it. We had a range of, the youngest man was 18, the oldest were in their mid-60s, leaders, everybody in that room. And it showed us the quality of what we have to offer now if we bring it out of some of our familiar structures and get it into the world. The bridge could be a standalone program. My vision with it has been, since we created it, could we create something that is, the Northwest has done something like this, but I wasn't aware of it until we put the bridge on. The vision is, could we do something like this that becomes very professional, that is unified, that has a structure, and we get a team of men together that aren't the leadership of that run the weekends, but another level of leadership that steps forward and just acts as a bridge. The bridge is to introduce consciousness of a man, the awareness of a man, to why they need to do this work, rather than just going from the world at large right into the weekend. That works as it works, but I believe we can do it. We can do it more effectively, and that's why we created the bridge. The content of the work was pretty much everything we touch on in the weekend. We spent a lot of time on domestication and define that for men. We come into a world that a man is kept, a man is trained, a man is conditioned, and never touches that primal fire within himself. So we use images and themes like that, and then it was a very solid invitation. What we did that was unique was we gave the price of the weekend right up front. Right after the check-in, we went right to the weekend. Here's why we're here, men. We want to invite you to this weekend. And here's what it costs. Here's what it is. It's initiation technology. Here's why we're doing it. Here's who we are. And we put that out of the way first, and then we went into the nuts and bolts of the weekend. At the end of the weekend, it came back around. There was one man that challenged it and said, I got one problem with you guys. Why did you tell us that at the beginning? If you had saved it for the end, I think I would have felt a little better, but I feel like I'm being sold. And Vince addressed that very clearly, very cleanly, and I told him, personally, I am selling you. I want to sell you this weekend, and I'm here to persuade you to take it, and that's why we're here. But now you got to trust why we're doing it. So it really worked well, and in terms of what that man brought, and I think we faced that a lot, even probably in the open circles. So I can see it going further. I mean, it's not just a New York program. We're going to do it again. I can see us coming up with a format, a structure, just like we do the weekend, specific processes. You get a team of men doing it. And I think there's value if we did this as a unified group nationally, and everyone is working with the bridge, and the bridge becomes a doorway. That's what it is. It's a bridge.
It's fabulous. Thank you, Lenny, for that summary. A couple of questions, then I want to open it up for other men's questions. Is it primarily teaching? Is it experiential? Is it work? What's the, what do you do?
It is teaching. We're certainly teaching the central concepts behind MKP that I see. And the larger transformational process, what MKP is here for, transformation, to initiate men to another level of, of consciousness, another level of awareness, to give us tools to go back into the world. We introduced the hero's journey. So there is a teaching piece that we weave through it. That, and it was very experiential. We didn't process men in a conventional way. We didn't bring anybody out into the center. The exercises were the process. Men went down. Men got into their descent right on the check-in. Vulnerability showed up very quickly, and it was because the nature of the circle, and I think Vin and I invited that in. Vin and I have been working together for probably 35 years. So men felt safe right at the beginning, and the exercises were the process.
Got it.
The distinction was, we're here to introduce you to your work, and the work will introduce you to the weekend. And this is what the weekend's about.
Got it.
Yep.
So do you have, second question, do you have anything, protocols or format or anything written up that other men could use if they want to do this in their area?
We have what we wrote up, certainly, which was the guidelines that we followed. We followed a particular pathway that day, and we can standardize that pretty easily, from a check-in, context, largest story, domestication, teaching piece, exercise, four quarters. I mean, we broke it down that way, so anybody can follow that format.
Yeah, I'd like to talk with you and Vin offline about taking this to the curriculum committee and getting it blessed there. I'm going to open it up now, man. What questions do you have for Lenny?
Yeah, question, Lenny, Greg Kleiner in the Northwest. I'm wondering how you got the men to attend, and how many there were again, and how many signed up.
There were, all of us together was 16, was Vin and I, and then 14 other men. And out of those 14, 3 were already initiated, and 11 were new to the work. And they came, we put a Facebook ad out.
Okay.
And we only marketed this for probably maybe 3 weeks. And in that 3 weeks, I think the way we did it, it worked. And then the other men that came were invited by the initiated men there. But in terms of the number of men in a metro area, it worked very much below the potential of what we can do. At least in metro, that's my opinion. Out of the masses of men that don't know what this work is, how do we bridge that? So that's, that was the intent behind it. How do we bridge what we have and bring men into the circle?
And how many men signed up for the weekend?
Right now, I believe there's 5 that signed up, at least that committed. Great. Yeah. What we did was we put right there, we had them sign up right there, and there's a more effective way to do it. I mean, I certainly learned from it. But what I wanted to do, and Vin and I were in agreement with this, was we wanted to keep that edge of creative pressure of having them sign up right there, and letting them know that you sign on the line, you're making a commitment now in this energy, and doesn't mean you're contractually have to do this, but the value of the commitment can't be underestimated here, men. So who's ready to step up? Was that kind of invitation at the end of the 4.5 hour gathering, which is a little different than the open circles I've done for years and that we've done.
Good. What else? What else for Lenny?
Lenny, I would love to see what you guys did for advertising for Facebook. I'd love to see that. That's one. Question, the concept of domestication and being domesticated, was that pulled from literature somewhere, or was that something that you came up with? Where did you get that from?
I brought that piece, and I've gotten that through my own work and my own understanding of what's going on today. And the levels of consciousness and conditioning that we as men are facing. Yeah, you know, the differentiation between sacred space and the mundane world. How does a man differentiate that? How do we break out of that? How do we go back into it? The whole hero's journey touches into that. Domestication is a term coined. First time I heard it and started to understand it was through the Toltec tradition. John Miguel Ruiz and his Four Agreements and that whole series. It's all about leaving a domesticated world, finding that wild, pure energy within, and then coming back. The hero's journey.
Cool. Thank you.
Great.
It's helpful.
What else? Lenny, thank you. I'm going to be in touch with you and Vin. You're welcome to stay on for the rest of the call. I appreciate your being here, and if you need to check out, that's great. I'm going to be in touch with you and Vin to have a conversation offline about institutionalizing this. It's one of the most, I have done literally hundreds and hundreds of enrollment events for programs, and 20% is a good, is a good number, a good percentage, and you're doing 50% or more committing on the evening. You got something here, brother.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, brothers. Yeah,
Thank
no,
you.
I would be honored to stay on, would like to, but I'm in the middle of my practice hours, so I'm going to check out, brothers. An honor to be with you. Appreciate the work we're doing, and congratulations, Ed, and appreciate everything that you men hold for the whole community. And
Thanks.
I'm out.
Thanks,
Thank
Lenny.
you, brothers.
Take care.
Oh,
Poison, what do you got to talk to us about?
Hey, dudes. So I'm going to talk technical stuff for a little bit, which I hope. Do all of you on this call know what the Area Inquiry V Group is? Looking for recognition, looking for no's, looking for maybes. Nope. Okay, cool. So you guys know that I field outreach. I manage the outreach team and I field outreach requests. That means that anytime somebody goes to the mankindproject.org website and fills out a form on the website or on the MKP USA website, my computer is being very slow. Those come to the outreach team. And the outreach team is 4 guys who are all volunteers who take the information. So like, here's a form. Look at that. First name, email, how can we help? Select your nearest area. The drop-down list pulls up areas. Everybody's in here. Or you can go to the bigger form on the How to Engage page on the Mankind Project, and there's a whole lot of information that comes in that men can fill in through here. Not much required, but a lot that they can add to this form. And again, including a nearest area drop-down, which is down here. All of these go into our marketing platform, Infusionsoft, and get processed by a team of volunteers. So if somebody comes in saying, hey, I'm interested in the New Warrior Training Adventure, and they give us their phone number, then a guy named John Grote calls them back immediately to try and sign them up for the weekend and get them moving. If they come in here and they just give us an email address and they say that they're interested in a men's group, then one of the outreach team guys will field that, go look for either the iGroup coordinator or directly to a men's group. Like in NorCal, we'll just go directly to a men's group contact and get them in touch with somebody at the local level. So this is one of the ways these come through. So this is all being handled in one platform over here, Infusionsoft, with a team working on it. In MKP Connect, there is a thing called an Inquiry V Group. I'm going to show you one Let's go to the Arizona Inquiry Notification Group. This, every time somebody fills out a different form, which is an old generation form on the NWTA site, an email is sent to this group. So here's what yours looks like in Arizona, Chris. You're on it. D. Spittler, CJ Moore, Brad Peterson, and Sam are all in this group. So when somebody fills out a form from here, the nwta.mkp.org/learn-more form, this group gets an email. Now, these two systems over here and over here have not been connected. What I'm getting ready to do, and you all will be, if you're on one of these groups, which I'm going to guess most of you probably are, you just may not know about it. These two systems are going to merge so that if somebody comes to mkp.org, gives us a name, gives us an email address, doesn't give us a whole lot of other information, but says, hey, I'm in Arizona. As soon as they submit this form, it's going to be entered into our Infusionsoft system so I can do automated follow-ups and drip messaging and all of that kind of cool stuff that goes on over there. And it's going to go bam right to the inquiry, the area inquiry V group. So that you guys who are enrollment, who are iGroup coordinators, who are registrars, who are area stewards, will have that information immediately out of the outreach team. Why am I doing this? Because the amount of traffic coming through the outreach team has kept continually since we relaunched the Mankind Project org site. The number of inquiries that have been coming through this site has been steadily increasing. So there is just tons of outreach inquiries coming through, and it's overwhelming a volunteer team's ability to handle all those well. So I need help, and I'm going to connect two systems that we already have in place to get the help that we need to start handling these. There's a lot that still comes to the outreach team where they don't tell us where they are. They don't tell us what they're interested in. They might not even tell us their name, where we have to reach back out to them and say, hey, who are you? Where are you? How can I help you? No, we don't deal with 16-year-old kids. This is what our women's program is. This is what all of these other kinds of inquiries that we get. But for someone who said, I want a men's group and I'm in upstate New York, boom, straight to upstate New York. That's what I'm looking to do. Greg.
Yeah, quick question on, is the where they're from a required field? And if not, why not?
It is not required right now for them to select an area dropdown. And the only reason that it's why not is the more you require of someone in a form, the less likely they are to complete the form.
I was just thinking that would speed it if they at least have to click on that. And yeah, maybe there would be a hesitation as far as giving away their geographical location, but it seems like general enough. It shouldn't.
It probably wouldn't. That would be an A/B test that I could do also. So I could play with that with two different forms and have it required on one and not required on another and see if it made a difference. That would be scientific.
Is there going to be an automatic notification to those V group administrators?
Yes, when an email goes to that V group, everybody who's in that V group will get the email just like you would from a V group.
Okay.
My preparation for this is I've got a draft that's not done yet. I'm going to be, before I change anything, I'm going to prep everybody in those V groups to say, here's what's changing, here's what's different, here's what I'm requesting that you do. and click here to let me know that you're getting the message. Other questions? Other pieces? Cool. Did everybody see the 16-minute video that they produced in Colorado recently?
No.
Yeses and nos? Cool. I will forward that to the enrollment group. Very cool video they just produced in Durango.
Yeah.
Very sweet.
Boysen, you may have covered this. I got distracted for a couple of minutes while you were speaking by something that came up here. But talk a little more about what John Grote is doing as far as lead conversion and
Cool.
what we're willing to offer to the enrollment coordinators, particularly whose areas are struggling.
Thank you for that. Thank you. So John Grote was hired by, because of the generous gift of a donor, John Grote was hired by MKP USA, and we also hired another new warrior brother named Michael Russer to write a heart-centered, presence-based conversion process, phone process. If we were in sales, which of course we're not, but if we were in sales, you'd call this a sales process. It is working with a man from a place of presence to move him toward his next step, figure out what it is, and if that is the New Warrior Training Adventure, then to get him to sign up. So Michael Russer wrote, I think it's a 16 pages or 18-page sales process for this, worked with a guy named John Grote, and John Grote's job has been to make phone calls. So if somebody gets us a phone number, or if we have anything coming through email, anything coming through one of those forums, anybody who's on our Infusionsoft marketing list, who's purchased another training from us, say the Man on Purpose course training, John is making phone calls to those folks using this process and doing conversion for the NWTA. So right now he's above 16% from any phone call he makes, 16% conversion into getting men to sign up. And we don't know what the long-term conversion rate is, because for many of these guys, this is the first contact they've ever had with the Mankind Project. So I know that our sales process, our enrollment process could take a year, could take 5 minutes, could take 10 years, depending on the guy. And the help that's available is if you guys have prospect lists, I don't know how you manage them. If you manage your prospects through MKP Connect, if you're managing your prospects through an Excel spreadsheet or a Google Doc, and you want help, assistance, mentoring, teaching on doing the enrollment process from this heart-centered, presence-based, making the phone call, John Grote can be engaged to help with that.
And how do they go about engaging him?
Let me send you guys a note. That's John Grote, JOHNGROTE, John Grote at mkp.org.
But do you want them to go through you, or do you want them to go directly to John?
It would be better to have them go through me so that I can kind of manage how much stuff is getting thrown at John in a given time. And my intent moving forward is the process that we developed. What I'd like to do is do a second pass on the process and then actually do some enrollment training based on the process that we've developed, so that if you are on the phone with a guy, here's a process that you can use.
Great. Fabulous. Really great, boys. And the thing that's important, and why I was particularly pleased to have Boysen talk about this on this call, is I keep emphasizing this. I have for the almost a year now that I've been enrollment lead. You're not alone. Men on the phone, men on the computer, men who are listening to the recording, you're not alone. MKP USA has resources, a ton of resources. And people like Lenny and Vin in New York, who are doing great stuff, are more than willing to give it away. We're here to support you. And if you're struggling, you don't need to be struggling. Reach out to me, reach out to Boysen, get the help you need to do the thing that you're in this job to do. You're in this job, nobody's in this job to sell trainings. We're in this job to change men's lives. And the support is there for you if you use it. So thank you, Boysen. Any other questions for Boysen, for me? Anything anybody wants to say or ask or share with their enrollment coordinator brothers?
Yeah, we just hosted our first open circle. We had 14 men show up. We didn't even know we would have that many. We had 7 staffers, and it went well from what I heard. I wasn't staffing that one, but I'm intrigued by was it Lenny's approach of like, we're selling you this right out of the gate, because this was MKP light, no smudging, no jargon. It was just more of this approach of coming in, exposing them to men's work in a very gentle way, with really no mention of the weekend that I know of until just in passing toward the end. So I just wondered if people had experiences with that.
Well, we know that works, Greg. We've had enough experience now with open circles, just the way you talked about it. We know that works. I'm intrigued by I think that Lenny's approach, and remember, and I don't mean this in any pejorative way, I'm from there myself, but they're from New York. I don't know that would necessarily work in Portland or Seattle. But also, they put it out up front. In my thinking, they took away, are these guys trying to sell me something from the conversation? Then they did some really great work, and then they brought it back. So, it's nice to know that both those things work. I just always remember that in one of my first coaching jobs back in the day, a financial firm in San Francisco engaged me to coach people, and the presenting problem was usually, he's from New York. So got to keep that in mind. There are cultural differences.
Thanks.
Anything else for anybody? Sam, tell us a little bit about how the GBTQ Gateway is going. Sam Ladian is the enrollment coordinator specifically for the GBTQ Gateway in October, and he's doing some really he and the team that's putting that gateway on are doing some really creative stuff. Sam, tell us a little bit about what you're doing, because it's worth knowing about beyond that one gateway.
Well, what we're planning to do right now is come up with, first of all, a reunion for all GBTQ warrior men in NorCal, and have them come and show up in an art studio in the Castro, which is the central district for GBTQ men in San Francisco, and just hang out and have a good time. Get to know each other, men from all different NWTAs, as well as bring guests and friends who are curious. And I have all these questions about what all these men's groups are all about. So our approach is casual, just getting to know people. And if they have any questions about a weekend, then we bring it up. Of course, we'll have flyers all around the place. And we'll also be coming up with an auction and some sale so that we will have some funding for more social events.
It's great. You're also, I know, Sam, hitting almost all the I'll use a generic term for all of them, but gay pride events or other gatherings in the Bay Area, and showing up there and pretty unabashedly promoting this gateway. Am I correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Just showing up and being visible. There's a lot of inquiries and just spreading the word out. There are a lot of different men's groups in the areas. For those who are familiar with the Bay Area, there's just tons of events and men's groups and self-help groups. So it's important for me, at least, to make that distinction of what we do similarly or differently, and just keep us visible.
That's great.
At least that's how I look at it.
That's great. And how's your response been?
For the people who responded on email, said yes, there's about 40 men who will show up on May 11.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Great. Thank you, Sam. Thank you for the work you're doing.
You're welcome.
John King, welcome. Check in. He's not.
Jonathan King, Electric Violet Dragon, checking in with Joy, Shame, and Fear. I'm in.
Well, welcome, John. And I strongly recommend you, when I put the recording out, the link to the recording out, there's been some really great stuff on this call, and I strongly recommend you catch up.
Stay firm.
Anybody else? Anything before we check out?
Yeah, just a quick question, George Hartland, Kansas City. For Sam. Sam, I'm curious, you were talking about distinguishing yourself from the other men's groups. Can you give a quick elevator speech about what you say that distinguishes MKP, Gateway from some of the other groups?
Yeah, that's a very hard question. Basically, I would just tell them we're here to be present for you, to provide resources. The flagships are iGroups and a Gateway weekend. And I tell them about the hero's journey. Some groups have similar experiences with hero's journey or different. And some people like it, and some people just take it and walk by. So the responses are varied as far as getting the word out.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
I think the thing, and I've sat in on many of the meetings of the group that's putting on the Gateway, and I think the thing that's important is to remember that we are different from other men's groups, that we are doing something that most, maybe not all, but most other men's groups aren't doing in terms of initiating men. There's, as we say in the context statement, our society doesn't offer very many possibilities for healthy initiation. And I think if you stand there and just stand in the value you've gotten and you've seen other men derive from MKP and from the NWTA, you'll know what to say. All right. Anything else for anybody before we check out? I'm going to give you back 15 minutes of your day. Okay, let's do a quick checkout. Brad?
I'm checking out with excitement, and this is a great group to connect with to give us ideas on how to increase our enrollment.
Great. I'm going to turn off the recording 1 second on the principle that men who listen to these recordings don't need to hear us check in and check out. Stop recording. Here we go.